the lecture then. And we're going to pick up where we left off, and that's at the industry life cycle. So C.W. Hoffer, 1975, says that knowing the industry life cycle and where you are on the different stages of the industry life cycle is one of the most important variables in considering your strategy. Whether you're at the emergent stage or whether you are at the growth 1 stage, growth 2 stage, maturity, and certainly decline, there are strategies that firm has to consider in that full sequence of those different stages of the life cycle. So let's take a look at the different stages of the life cycle here, starting off with emergent. All right. In the emergent stage of an industry life cycle, this is a really turbulent period. This is when the industry is just getting formed. Those who are entering into this industry really don't know who their competition is. It is a formative stage of the industry. Your consumers are not yet fully identified. You have a general idea of where you might want to go with your product, but you don't have that formalized completely. So marketing and promotion is going to be different because you're not knowing who to market and promotion your products to. Add to that, your product is still in the design stages. You're doing revisions on your product. You're doing different types of changes on it, different packaging, different types of performance analysis on your product. All of these things cost money. And so those firms in the emergent stage of an industry do not make money. This is a period of time when they're losing money. They're investing more into that startup than they're even generating any kind of revenue on. Now, the firms that make it through that emergent stage, they get into the accelerated stage, the G1. This is accelerating growth. Now they're able to recapture some of those costs that they outlaid in the emergent stage. And in fact, at this stage of growth, demand far outstrips the amount of supply that's in the industry, much more demand than there is supply. So firms in this industry, then, most often what they're going to do is add capacity to meet that demand. Now, of course, we know from your simulation that anytime you add capacity, it's going to cost you money. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind here. We're adding a bunch of capacity in the G1 stage. Later on, we might have an issue with that added capacity that we're spending so much money on. Decelerating growth. This is G2. Growth is still occurring, but not at the same rate as the G1 stage. Think of the iPhone 13 when it came out. In the first few weeks of that iPhone 13, you couldn't get the phone because there was so much demand on that iPhone 13. Well, that demand has diminished now. There still is demand, but it's not nearly as accelerated as it was when it first came out. So we got 2 different stages of growth, G1, G2. Moving on to maturity, now what we're seeing here is saturation in the market. When we're looking at saturation in the market, there's going to be substantially overcapacity in that market. And remember, that overcapacity came from G1. That was when we're adding capacity to meet that demand. The growth rate at maturity is typically lower than 5%. And those who are buying in this stage of the industry life cycle are those who already have the product, and that product has wore out and they're just replacing that product. The last stage, decline. Now that lower volume that we saw at mature, 5% or less, is even lower in the decline stage. Now what we're looking at is an industry or products within that industry that there is no demand for them anymore. This is your typical VHS tape and your floppy disks. That's a good example of those who are in a decline or dead stage. And here's what the industry life cycle looks like. So we have our different stages on here, starting off with emergent. This is a good time on emergent when the company comes up with innovations on their products, making their products unique and finding out from that consumer what it is exactly their needs and wants are, and making that product to match those needs and wants. Also, it's the timing of the introduction of that product is going to be important as well. Going into G1, now we're having accelerated growth. And in accelerated growth, we are not yet differentiating our products. We're making them undifferentiated. We're trying to capture as much of that market as we possibly can. We're also trying to sell that product, since it is undifferentiated, at a lower price. That captures more of this market. And typically with the emergent stage and the G1 stage, the firms are staying domestic with their sales. We go to G2. Now we're starting to see sales start to slow down. So now we start considering going international to try and expand that G1 growth that we used to have. Also during this time, we're going to start differentiating our product, making them unique, differentiating our market, going into different types of markets, looking at what are those changing needs of that consumer and how are we going to match those changing needs with the products and services that we might have. Moving on to the mature stage. Now what we do is start looking at innovating more of our products and looking at segmenting the markets that we have, looking for the markets that are most profitable and focusing our attention on those segmented markets that have a growth potential or most profitable. All right. Let's jump down here to the importance of the life cycle. Now, as mentioned earlier, as industry and products go through the different phases of the life cycle, normal historical competitive strategies typically become ineffective. The strategy that you're going to use for introduction will not be the best strategy that you will use for G2. And the growth strategy certainly won't work for mature stage. And the strategy that you're going to have in decline stage is going to be different than you would have in any of the previous ones. So you have to consider, where are we on these stages of the life cycle and what type of strategy should we then be pursuing? So it's important to recognize those characteristics that exist with each one of these different stages. Now, a couple points here. If you're going to enter in a marketplace, the best time to enter into the market is in the G1 stage. That's when those who are in that industry are more focused on meeting the demand, because remember, there's much more demand than there is capacity. They're going to be much more focused on meeting that demand than trying to worry about a new entrant. So they're going to have their focus on something else. That's the best time to enter. Competition is going to be less intense in that market that's growing. Now, however, you get into G2, the later stages of G2, and certainly maturity. You try entering a market in those two stages, and the intensity is going to be extreme. You will receive retaliation from those in the industry because there's not enough growth potential that's remaining, and they're going to protect their market share. All right, moving on, and let's talk about the emergent stage. Here's what the characteristics are of that stage. First of all, low sales growth. Well, first, we don't have an idea what our market is. We don't have an idea who our consumers are. We're still adapting our products. So low sales growth, multiple adaptations to products, both in design and technologically. And as such, we're spending a lot of money doing these things. We don't have any revenue coming in. We're going to have operational losses. Now, the other thing to consider about the emergent stage is that there's low entry barriers. No one has any large market share. It's formative. No one has any brand recognition. There are no distinctiveness of any of the players in that emergent stage. So there's going to be low competitive forces. So it's going to be really important to try and find out who your competition is once you're able. The two functional areas of the firm that are going to be critical during this stage are going to be R&D and marketing. R&D has to find a product and develop a product that fits those needs of that consumer. What is it that that consumer is really looking for? And how can we create a product that fits their need? And the second area is going to be marketing. They have to find a way to market and promote those products to that consumer, get their attention, have them buy that product. So those are two very, very critical functional areas of the firm during the emergent stage. Let's look at some strategies that would be used during the emergent stage. All right. First of all, if your firm has any technologies and they might be proprietary, you've developed a way of doing things that the other ones don't. This would be proprietary knowledge. If you can exploit that, what we're looking for is gaining competitive advantages. So any kind of proprietary technologies that might be developed, try and exploit them. Try and determine who exactly is your competition. And again, what we talked about in the earlier lectures is getting as much information on your competition as you can helps you make the best strategic decisions. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are the opportunities they see? What are the threats that they see? Knowing that during this time, there's going to be high initial capital investments. So it's important then for your finance department, your functional area of finance, to get the capital that they need at the best terms, the best rates, the best possible conditions that they can to help finance your strategic operations. Again, there's few barriers to entry into an emergent market. So competitive intelligence is going to be critical. And that goes back to putting information or getting information about who your competitor is out there. As much competitive information as you possibly can is going to help you. Now, with marketing and promotion, those first-time buyers, since they don't know who you are in your company, you might have to provide some sort of incentive for them to try your product out. So that's going to be a big effort then for marketing and promotion. And then try, if you can, to obtain a competitive advantage through tying up exclusive sources of raw material, if you can. That gives you another competitive advantage. Remember, we're looking for as many of those as we possibly can. All right, moving on to the growth stage. Now, strategies here for sustaining that market growth. Obviously, one of the first things we need to do is make sure that we have our product quality that is continually improving. That goes back to the balanced scorecard, looking at that customer and making sure that we're doing internal processes that will improve that product quality for that consumer. Add to our products new features, improve the styling of that, make it fresh, make it innovative, add new models, add ancillary products, different sizes, different flavors into the main product. We see this all the time when you go to the market. You're going to see different flavors of soda on the shelf. You're going to see different sizes of soda on the shelf, different sizes, different flavors. Go over to the chip aisle. You're going to see different sizes and flavors of Cheetos. I mean, you can use that as an example going through the store. You're going to see different sizes and flavors of all of the different products there. And what they're trying to do is protect the main product. They're adding other flavors and sizes out there for other buyers. Try and enter into new market segments. Maybe a new buying group, maybe a new consumer group, maybe an older group, maybe a younger group, maybe a healthy looking group, maybe adding flavored drinks instead of having soda drinks, right? Look at your distribution coverage and add different distribution channels to what you are providing with your product and services. There are some keys to your growth strategy. One is build brand recognition. Of course, that brand recognition comes from you being the preference of that customer, having high quality, having high reliability, having a good value that consumer considers is worth that product's price. And of course, finally, you need to have financial resources and capabilities within your firm to support all of your strategic actions. All right, let's jump over to the mature stage. Now, mature stage, we've gone from rapid growth in G1 to growth still, G2, but now what we have is significantly slower growth. Remember, it's under 5% at this stage here. The buyers are already users of that product or service in the industry. They're just replacing it. There's going to be greater emphasis at the mature stage on cost and service that you're going to be providing. Mergers and acquisitions occur in the mature stage. So you're going to reduce the number of rivals. And when we look at corporate strategy, I have a good example of a mature stage. The industry is airline, and how in that industry, the airline industry, we started seeing mergers as a way of growing. Competition for the market share becomes really intense in the mature stage. Remember, back on G1, we were adding capacity, and that capacity now is biting us because we have to pay for it, but we don't have the sales that generate enough profit for us to pay for that as well. So we're going to have intensity of rivalry that comes from what's happening at the mature stage. And if we go back and think about the 5 forces from Porter, and you consider one of those 5 forces was intensity of rivalry, much of that intensity of rivalry was based on the actions or the characteristics of the mature stage. So let's look at some strategies in the mature stage. All right. Look at all your products in your product line. Which of those products that you have are the ones that are profitable? Which are the ones that don't require a lot of promotion and marketing? They are the ones that just normally sell. As opposed to looking at the products that are hard to move, that don't turn inventory, that really don't have a large profit margin. Well, those divest them and focus on the ones that are making you money. Don't take a lot of effort to sell. Emphasize process innovation, keeping your costs down. Remember another thing about the balanced scorecard. One of the areas that we were looking at was internally, and that was process innovation, trying to keep your costs down through looking at how to reduce time in processes. Emphasize cost reduction in all the functional areas of the firm. We want to have an option here of keeping all of our costs down so that if we need to reduce our price, there's still a margin of profit in there. Look at our buyers. Do a careful selection of our buyers. There are buyers out there that are problem childs. They're the ones that are always looking for extra time on their invoice. They're always looking for a discount on their invoice. They're the ones that are claiming some sort of credit should be given to them on their invoice. Those are the problem children in the industry, and give them to someone else. Focus on the ones that don't cost you money. Look at horizontal integration as a growth strategy. We'll be talking more about horizontal integration in corporate level strategy this Thursday. But again, just to remind you, that's based on the value chain, going from raw material to the customer, and we just move it vertically. And where you're located, that's your center of gravity. Now what we're doing is going out from your center of gravity to another like firm, either acquisition or merger. And then what we can do is explore expanding internationally to extend the life cycle. All right, now we're moving on to the decline stage. Decline stage characterized by the industry sales and profits continue to fall, even from that mature stage. They are going down. Competitors start drastically cutting their prices so that they can raise cash to pay their bills. This strategy becomes non-existent at this stage. It's reactive strategy. So when you see your competition cutting his prices, or cutting their prices, your reaction is to cut your prices so that you don't continue to lose sales. And I think we gave an example of that when we were talking about intensity of rivalry. Now, at this stage, there's only a few choices for firms. You can either stay in the industry and hope things get better, or you can try and exit the industry. And there's a couple of strategies for exiting the industry. Now, an interesting point about this, there are some industries that have been able to, let me back that up. There are some firms in declined industries that are still able to be profitable. And I'll give you an example of that. Do you guys remember when Tower Records, this is a long time ago, used to exist, and they used to have LP playing records, the big vinyl records. Everyone then was using stereos and vinyl records. Along comes digital, and it, for the most part, wiped out that vinyl record industry, wiped them all out. Stores that were selling had no more demand, went out of business. Well, some consumers still wanted to have the listening quality that comes from the vinyl record. So they were looking for, trying to find any way that they can get vinyl records. So it's a niche industry. And there is a firm that I know of, actually there's a few of them, but one in particular is in Claremont, and it is called Rhino Records. Rhino Records. You can go over there and you can buy vinyl records for your stereo. So even though that industry is for the most part dead, it's even few are being produced anymore, there's still enough consumers out there for some firms to make a profit and still exist. And Rhino Records is an example of a firm that is able to exist in an industry that has all but died. All right, so let's take a look at some strategies here. All right, try and identify a segment of the market that is growing and pursue a focused strategy. So with Rhino Records, they found a niche market, some of those consumers that were still looking for LP records, and they focused only on that. And so they're still able to be around because of their focus on that. The other thing you can do is stress product innovation, quality improvement. If you're manufacturing something, emphasize production and distribution efficiencies, looking at streamlining your production. All of these are an effort to try and save money, reduce costs. And then the last one here, as far as a strategy, is to gradually harvest that business. So when should we then? Let's take a look at some strategies here having to do with harvesting that business. 4 strategies available. Well, first of all is maintain. You can stay the course, hoping competitors exit and the market conditions might shift to growth. Well, in Rhino Records concern, they stayed the course. All the other competitors exited, and they really didn't have to worry about continued growth because there's an existing amount of customers out there that have found them, and they're able to sustain themselves with that customer pool. Consolidate, merge with or acquire another company, smaller company. And of course, from that, you could become a larger entity. And in that declining market, there might be enough share for you to continue to be profitable. The last 2 here are end game strategies. That means you're getting out, you're exiting the industry. The first one is harvesting. You want to maximize as much profit as you possibly can, as quick as you possibly can. And the second part of end game is how you get out, sell, merger, or close. So when we're talking about end game strategy, what we're talking about is you're getting out and you're trying to make as much money as you can before you leave. So when should we use this? All right, when you look at the long-term prospects of the industry, and they're just not attractive. When building up the business in a declined industry would be too costly. Why would you do it in the first place? Why would you add more production to your floppy disk manufacturing? When the market share is increasingly costly to maintain, in other words, promotion and marketing generate no results. When the firm could redeploy resources in other opportunity areas, this is kind of what I was talking to you guys about with your business units. If you have a business unit and it's not making any money, it's dragging all of your performance down, divest it. You're not doing anything with it. It's not making any money. Take the money that you're investing in that and redeploy it into another business unit that is making money. Now, business units that are an important element of the overall corporate portfolio should be considered keeping. And let me give you an example of that. Let's say that what we're looking at here is a business unit that is a distribution center. And that distribution center just loses money. It's too costly. But that distribution center feeds several other of the business units of the overall portfolio. So getting rid of that business unit would be detrimental to the other business units that they have. So holding on to it might be the best idea. But if that doesn't exist, then get rid of it. So let's take a look at end game strategies here. Again, the objective of this is clear and simple. Short term, generate the largest feasible cash flow that you can get. Long term could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year. Get out. That's it. That's the strategy. Make as much money as you can, as quick as you can. Get out, take that money, go to the beach, buy yourself a drink with an umbrella in it, and relax. That's all you have to do. This strategy here, you're going to steer a middle course, seeming like you're in business, staying in business, but with one foot out the door. Gradually sacrifice market position in return for larger near-term profits. By doing that, what you're doing is increasing the price of your products, getting faster, larger near-term profits. Okay, here's some tactics that we would use. First of all, you have to understand we're not going to try and reinvest anything into the company because we're getting out. So reduce operating budget to rock bottom. Hold any reinvestments to minimum or zero. Emphasize stringent internal cost controls. Keep all of your costs down. The money you save there is the money you take with you. Place little to no priority on any capital investments. Why would you? Why go out and buy new equipment? You're going to go out of business. Raise your prices, increase your revenue, increase your profits. Trim promotion. We already talked about marketing and promotion. If you cut down on it, doesn't result in any loss of sales. So trim it. Reduce quality in non-visible ways. Maybe packaging, maybe the way it's shipped, maybe how it's configured in packaging that might be too elaborate. So you can kind of cut it down in non-visible ways to save you money. Non-essential customer service, cut back on that. Your 24-hour hotline, run 18 hours instead of 24 hours. Save some money doing that. And then shave equipment maintenance. Now, when I say this, I want you to understand, I want you to be safe in doing this. So what we would be looking at would be maybe the maintenance on vehicles. Instead of having the oil changed every 6,000 miles, have the oil changed every 7,000 miles. Something like that. Shave the equipment maintenance. All right, we're going to switch gears here, cover a couple of industries, high turbulence and fragmented industry. All right, high turbulence industry. These would be those industries out there that are most typically biotech or technology industries or space exploration industries or space commercialization industries. These are industries that are highly technologically involved out there. One of the things about these high turbulent industries is that there's rapid changes that is occurring. These changes occur faster than firms in the industry can adapt to and respond to. Visibility of the future is unpredictable and surprising. Products that are being developed in this industry have a shorter life cycle. This industry, since it is globally, there's going to have global social, political issues that affect the market. There's going to be frequent launches of new products, and these aren't incremental improvements. They're going to be discontinuous leapfrog improvements. And you're going to have customers of this industry that are going to be demanding faster, better, more innovative, more storage, more speed, whatever, than what they currently have. They're going to be highly demanding customers for this type of industry. So how do we prepare for this? Well, internally, the firm should have analysts that are focusing on those macro environmental trends. What's going on out there? Try and get ahead of it. Internally, they're going to be looking at their resources and capabilities to see if they can match what these changing trends are going to do. And then they want to make sure that you align your strategy with your objectives. Other things you can do, build strategic alliances. Look at acquisitions as a way of growth, as opposed to just organically growing or moving into a new geographic area. Maybe just do an acquisition. Try and keep all of your products, because of the fact that consumers out there demanding that you do, keep them fresh, keep them innovative. Invest in cutting edge R&D technology. Make sure that your firm is flexible and agile and can adapt to those changing developments. And then this type of firm needs to have, as a leader, a change leader, not one that just anticipates change or not one that reacts to change. You want to be a change leader. You want to be the one that is causing the change. All right, moving on to the last one here, which is fragmented industry. You're going to see this and recognize this all over the place, fragmented industries. This is characterized by an absence of any clear market leader. No one has a large market presence. The demand of the buyers for this industry are so diverse, so spread out, that it requires a lot of small companies to service them. There's low entry barriers into this industry because there's really no market leader, no market share that's large. Oftentimes, these are just small little businesses in this fragmented industry. There is no scale economy. You don't get any benefit from producing volume because there is no volume to produce, because the buyers are looking for small orders of customized or made to order products or services. A good example of a fragmented industry is a nail salon. Now, let me ask this question here for you guys. Joyce, Lauren, Hope, how many nail salons would you guess there are in Azusa, Glendora, Covina area? 5, maybe?
More. I'd say there's so many.
Well, 10, 15, 20?
I want to say 10. Just within the city alone, right?
No, we're going Glendora, Covina, and Azusa. So, I mean, we're talking about a radius of what, 5 miles, maybe?
Yeah.
So how many do you think would be in that radius? Maybe 10 miles. Let's say a 10-mile radius.
I don't know. Maybe 10 to 15, maybe.
So there's quite a few of them, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And when you go to a nail salon, those who go to a nail salon are looking for something that is going to be made to order for their preference, isn't it? It's not like you can go in there and pick it off the shelf and go home with it. You're having them do something that is made to order that you're requesting, correct?
Yeah, I think based like the experience, like
Oh,
how
look
good is
here.
the experience?
I just got a note from Lexi. She says there's 24 nail salons within a 2-mile radius.
It's insane.
Oh my gosh. Lexi,
Yeah.
thank you for that. All right. So the thing then is it's a now, does any one of those nail salons are they a clear market leader with a large market share? The answer is no. And what does it cost to start a nail salon? It's not like starting a retail clothing store. It's not like starting a manufacturing company. To start a nail salon, the capital requirements are pretty low. It's not requiring a lot of capital. So it's easy to get into. Now, obviously there's skills. I don't want to minimize what goes on in a nail salon, but my point being, it's relatively easy to get into starting a nail salon. Now, other examples, barbershops, cleaners, travel agency, convenience stores, liquor stores, real estate. I don't know. I know you guys don't want to know what a liquor store is, but convenience stores, right? Why do you go to a convenience store? What is the reason that you would go to one convenience store over another convenience store? Is it because of the excellent customer service? Is it because of the products that they offer and there are so unique, so differentiated that you go out of your way to stop at that convenience store? Why do you go there? Why do you go to one convenience store as opposed to another one? Brady, why do you go there? I think Brady may have gone to sleep on us here. Emilio, you have an answer for me? Emilio's with Brady. How about Joyce? Tell me what you think, Joyce.
Honestly, maybe the things that would be in stock that would be in one convenience store that's not in the other one. I don't know.
How about this? How about you're driving down the street, going westbound down the street, and your stomach tells your brain, or your brain tells your stomach, one of the two, I am thirsty and I want a snack. So you look around and you see a convenience store and you pull over and you grab something out of that convenience store. And it's not because you searched out that convenience store because of the fact that it has whatever that particular item is. It's because it was there when that need arose for you to get it. That's mainly the reason for the convenience store, is because of that last second need that craving that someone has. Or they may be stopping on the way home and picking up a 6-pack of Diet Coke, but it has to be on their way. They're not going to go out of their way to go do it. It's got to be on their way. All right, so here's some strategies then for competing in a fragmented market. Increase your value added. Add value by providing more service with that sale. And a good example of this, if you think of a donut store is part of the fragmented industry too. There are so many donut stores around, these 3 cities that, they're part of a fragmented industry. But Donut Man is different. Donut Man makes specialized donuts. So he has added value to that product that he sells. If you go by Donut Man, he's open 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and he's selling strawberry donuts and tiger tails and all these other strange things that he's developed there. And he's created a value added for simple donuts. Another good example is we're talking about our nail salon, but to make value added there are some nail salons that when you go there, they serve champagne, mimosas. So they serve drinks for your alcohol when you go. So they've created a little bit of difference in what it is that they do over the nail salon that everyone else goes to. There's other ways that you can kind of make your company a little bit unique. the different products that you offer. Maybe just narrow down that range of products and service, making it kind of specialized. Going after a certain type of customer as opposed to a broad range of customers. Only handling certain types of orders. Maybe just custom orders or quick turnaround orders. Or maybe focusing in a certain geographic area. And then lastly, of course, this is really a low cost strategy here, trying to keep all of your costs down as low as you can so that you might be known as a low cost leader. But that's a dangerous one because there's so many companies out there offering the same thing that you're doing. All right, final slide here for you guys. So when we're looking at the different stages of the life cycle, you can see that there's some factors that are going vertically on the left-hand side that might give you some information on which one is most applicable for them. And a good example would be, let's see, major functional areas of concern. So for introduction, it's going to be R&D. For growth, it's going to be sales and marketing. For maturity, production. And then for decline, that's general management and finance. So you can see during the different stages, which of those functional areas is going to be most critical for success during that stage of the life cycle. Okay, that's where we're ending it today, guys. Let's just end this recording.